Hello there, everybody.
What is up, guys?
It is 2021. We're back.
Oh, man.
New season, new year.
Reunited and it feels so good.
He acts like we haven't seen each other.
Hey.
But we have. We have, in fact, seen each other on the break. We hope everybody had a great holiday season, a great new year. We are very excited about the new season of the PDS. We have a lot of cool stuff that we'll get into in just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk, I have a question for you.
What's your question?
What's your favorite animal?
My favorite animal. As mine is barking in the background.
Is it is it Normie?
Normie's my favorite animal. He is my favorite animal. I don't think that counts though.
No, I'm talking about like a zoo animal. Also, Kelnack and Bunny Cat. I want to know what your favorite animals are too. Anybody in the chat, feel free to let us know what your favorite animal is. That's our question of the day. We're going to try and find out more about each other.
So, when I go to the zoo and we're going to see animals, the one I get excited about seeing, there's two that I get excited about seeing. It's either the gorillas or the tigers. I like seeing the tigers. They're never doing anything. It's always boring. They're taking a nap. But there's just something about seeing a tiger.
Yep, true.
That's cool. But the gorillas, I feel like there's always something to see. They're always doing something, you know? I remember that at Laurie Park Zoo, they used to have the one that would just sit there and like pose for pictures. Like he was famous for like, he would sit on a stump all day long and just be like, he would just change poses every now and then. Do what?
He would just hang out.
He would just hang out
for the fans.
He had one stump that he would sit on and just pose, and people would come and just love to take pictures of him. And so I think maybe the gorillas. Gorilla is my favorite animal. I'm hardline stance. Gorillas.
Definitely up there for me too. I always loved going to the zoo before all of that was ruined for me by like documentaries and things about poor treatment of animals. But no, I definitely always liked tigers. I always liked seeing the elephants. There was something crazy about seeing an animal that large. And then I always liked birds of prey, like eagles. But they're not really great at a zoo because they're just like, there it is. It's better to watch a video about eagles than to go see it at the zoo.
That's one thing that I always thought was really cool about. I think the only place I've seen it was at Disney. No, I haven't. I haven't talked about Disney, so it's time to talk about
This is the
Disney,
first time
guys.
he's talked about Disney this year.
The Animal Kingdom, they have like all these macaws and stuff that they have that are they've trained, but they let them just fly around during the day. So
Mm.
they're just flying around that giant, tree, and then I guess at night they know where they're gonna come get their food. So they know where they stay, but they're flying around the whole zoo during the day. I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
And so
when I went to Nashville Zoo, they had three kind of areas that you could interact with the animals. One was like you're talking about, where it was like parrots and things like that. Hey, how's it going, Blub? Thanks for hopping in chat.
Blub, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming
Um,
in.
so they had like parrots, like you're talking about, where you get like a little cup of, I don't know what it is. It's just like sugar water or something, where they like want to
Yeah.
like land on you and drink out of it. They had tortoises that they give you a little clip so you could feed the tortoises lettuce. But the coolest one by far was the kangaroo exhibit. They are all just
You
laying
can interact with
around.
the kangaroos?
Yes, I 100% pet
Oh man.
kangaroos. And the rule is it's like this like winding concrete path that goes through this exhibit. And the kangaroos in there know and slash are used to this situation. And they only put females in there because I think sometimes the males will be like, hey, you trying to steal my ladies? And they're like, fight people. And so they're like, the males aren't
Have you ever
allowed.
seen like videos of like old timey like boxing kangaroos, which was so messed up but also crazy?
Yeah, and I've also seen that video of the one dude that went and punched a kangaroo in the face because it was about to disembowel his dog. You know that video I'm talking about?
I have not seen that video.
Yeah, there was some crazy Aussie that his dog, because what they do is they like will grab the dogs and like put them in a headlock, and then they'll use like their toes and like cut their stomachs.
Really? I
Yeah,
didn't know that was a thing.
it's
And
really
like
dangerous if like a
and
kangaroo gets your
kangaroos
dog.
in certain areas of Australia are almost like deer in certain areas of the US, right? Where they're just like
Yeah,
everywhere.
there's lots of
Like
kangaroos.
in your yard and stuff. Like
But yeah, so at the zoo, it's only the females, and you walk down this like there's this concrete path going through this whole wooded area they're in, well, grassy, whatever. And the ones that want to be pet will lay in on the pathway. You're not supposed to wander off and go like force an interaction, but they're used to people now, and so there's literally just like kangaroos laying in the path there, and you just walk up to them and I pet a kangaroo, and it was awesome.
that's pretty cool. Blub, what is your favorite animal? That's what we're talking about. What our favorite animals were. Mine was a gorilla. Zach's was
Oh,
birds of prey, as well as what was the other thing? I know you said kangaroos
elephants.
are really cool. Elephants.
I really just like animals. When I was a kid, that was my job I wanted to have when I was a grown up, because I would watch Steve Irwin and Jeff Corwin. I was like, these guys have a dope job. I want to be a biologist.
This is a completely different time, and now I don't feel that way, and I don't even think kids do anymore. But when we were growing up, we lived really close to Orlando, so we go out there all the time. And I remember going to SeaWorld and watching those people that would like swim with the dolphins and with the
Hmm.
killer whales. And that was the dream job of a kid in the early 90s.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no, and
for
Blackfish
sure.
definitely ruined SeaWorld.
Oh, it destroyed it for
Now it's basically just
anybody
roller
with
coasters.
yeah, it is just basically roller coasters. Um,
No, it's turned more into an aquarium. You know, they just got away from the whole like whale show thing, and it's like an aquarium now.
mhm, mhm. But yeah, that was probably the job that growing up you're like, oh man, I want that job.
Yeah.
That
No,
it
we
looks
have that.
so cool.
We have that cool rehab. It's not exactly like a zoo. It's like a rehab, a water life rehab facility. That there's a famous dolphin in
Oh, in
Florida.
Clearwater?
Yeah, I think it's called Clearwater like wildlife rehabilitation or something like that.
Mhm.
There was a dolphin that famously was found. There was a movie about it. What was it called?
Yeah.
Winter, maybe. That's the dolphin's
No,
name. I
Winter's
don't.
the name of the dolphin. Something tail.
Dolphin
Uh,
tail,
dolphin
Ducktales.
tail.
Woo. No, but like that's a different type of thing because they only have animals there that are being currently rehabilitated. It's not like they should have like an attraction, but they do keep Winter there, who they made a prosthetic tail for. So I don't think she can survive in the wild, or it wouldn't be safe. So she stays. So that's kind of a cool thing because you can go see dolphins and they're so smart. But yeah,
Yeah, and it was like wasn't it like the first dolphin prosthetic that was ever made or something like
yeah,
that.
I think
There
so.
was a lot to it.
No, it took
The
some.
prosthetic dude was played
Honestly,
by Morgan Freeman.
yeah, honestly, the
It was
movie's
a
not
good movie.
terrible. Like you would think it's dumber than it is because okay, it is a little Hallmarky, but it's pretty good. Like the first one at
Yeah.
least. I think there's a sequel that I would probably not put any kind of like endorsement on, but the
At
first
least
was
the
good.
first one was based on the true story. So I mean, and it's a really cool story.
No, I think the
they're
second
trying
one
to
is
get
too.
funding.
There's another. They found another
I
dolphin.
didn't watch the second one.
Yeah, no, there was an. I didn't watch the second one either, but it was based on. There's another dolphin there that need a prosthetic. So there's basically two handicapped dolphins that stay at this place full time. Other than that, there's not dolphins. And so there was another movie, but like the first one had like Harry Connick Jr. and Morgan Freeman. The
Yeah.
second one, I don't know anybody that was in it, type thing. You know, there's like we made a ton of money off this. Let's spend less and make more. But yeah, it was. There's a lot of cool stuff about going to zoos. You know, you just have to kind of find the right ones. But I mean, I also went to Wildlife on Easy Street. I don't know if you're familiar with that name. Anybody that's seen Tiger King, I've been to that place. I've been to. It was called Wildlife on Easy Street. Now it's called Big Cat Rescue. I've been there. There's a chance I met Carol Baskin. Probably not though. I was probably talking to all her unpaid interns.
Yeah.
It was actually a pretty awesome experience.
I mean, there's probably, like you said, you go to the zoo and it's exciting to see the tigers and stuff, and that's all there is. There's a bunch of big cats.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, so we are a podcast about podcasts, and we're getting started with our first episode of our 5th season of the show. It's kind of wild to even think about. 5
Halfway
seasons.
through this year, it's going to be 5 years that we've been doing this.
It doesn't
Long
even
time.
feel like that. But
No, it doesn't.
it doesn't. You know what I mean? I'm fairly familiar with doing the show at this point, but it feels weird to have it be that long. But yeah, so our first episode we're going to talk about is a show we recommended from last time, and you're going to get to learn all about this show, and then we're going to give you a brand new show, and then next week we're going to be back. We're going to be trying out Saturdays. We'll get into all of our announcements here very shortly. But Kirk, you think we're ready to kick off?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and play the live stream, our new intro music? Since they're not gonna
Ooh,
be
I
able-
should
they're
let
not
them
gonna
hear
be able
the.
to hear it until.
All right, let
we
me
release the
pull this
podcast.
up real quick. Yeah, we were thinking about trying to get some new music, and so what I did was I took our old music, and I modified it.
Yes,
Roger, roll.
and you added some really cool sound clips that are amazing. And I am in love with this new freaking intro. I just feel like it's so on brand and it's so perfect.
Phase as Discovery clears the tower.
So yeah, that's our sound reversed. That's our original intro reversed. And I think we've talked about before on here that NASA is fair use. So anything, any NASA recordings, we are free to use. So we found a shuttle named Discovery. And so our new theme song is comprised of our old theme song and NASA. It's probably one of our greatest collabs to date, I'd say. I wish NASA knew that they were collaborating with us, but they are. They're there in spirit.
Oh, they know. They know.
But yeah, we're good to go
Someone we need
whenever.
get on the show is that the lady that did that NASA show that we did.
Oh yeah, that would be a
She
cool
was
one.
accessible.
She was a
Very
Smithsonian
smart.
curator. Is that the one you're talking about? Or no, you're talking
No,
about the
no.
space one.
The one that actually used to work for NASA.
Oh yeah. That would be a crazy one
I'm
actually.
gonna keep that one on my list.
Mm-hmm. Do you need to write
Okay,
on your
well,
list right now?
Thank you for
Yeah, thanks for
for
hopping
my
in.
work.
Appreciate
Appreciate
that.
and yeah, let's
Do you
Sure, I'll
remember?
put
Do you
it
remember
on
the
there.
intro?
where is the list? I don't remember anything, so let's just take a few runs at it.
And you're gonna be at 25 minutes if you want to write that down somewhere. 25 minutes start time.
Yep, I already have start written down. Now I have to just put the time. 25-ish.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so they're gonna hear that music, and then we're gonna say these words. Welcome to the Podcast Discovery Show, the podcast that's about other podcasts. Guys, this is season 5 to the Podcast Discovery Show.
Season 5 hype.
Hype, guys. And you know what? It may have sounded a little bit different. It sounded a little bit different because Zach made a new intro song that is amazing, and it's got some awesome clips from NASA's Discovery launch.
Yeah, special shout out to NASA.
I love it. It's our best collab. But also, like, it's our original music, but he just changed it a little bit. So it still sounds familiar, but it's got a lot of extra stuff to it. I love it, man.
Yeah, no, I was pretty happy that we were able to keep it because we've had that music for 5 years now, approximately.
It's so long, but also it's awesome. Okay, so we're going into season 5, and we talk about it a lot, but every single year around this time of year, me and Zach, or me, Zach, and Josh back in the day, would sit down around this time and we would try to figure out what are some changes that we can make that we think will make the podcast a little bit better. And I mean, that's why we're streaming. That's why we have a YouTube. That's why we've done a lot of iterations of the show. Hopefully, each iteration making it a little bit better. So, with that said, we've got a lot of announcements for you guys.
We've got changes. And the first one being...
Why don't you give us the first one?
Yeah, so in general, we always... The show we called Todd's, the bonus show we had for a long time, the show that used to come out early in the week, was originally not even designed to be a show. We started recording us getting ready for this show. It was all just kind of, I don't know, improvising the whole time. You know, we never really sat down with intention and worked it out. But we think we have a new name for the show, and it is Discovery Weekly. So instead of referencing this show, it is going to just be a weekly Discovery show. And basically, we're pretty excited about that happening. It's still going to be on the feed, at least for now, until there's some time where it makes sense for us to make its own feed. We're not going to. You know, we're going to keep doing it, so we're going to just keep it on the feed for now.
Yeah, so from now on, it's going to be Discovery Weekly, and instead of it coming out on Mondays and PDS coming out on Wednesdays, we're going to switch it up a little bit. PDS is going to release every Monday on all the podcatchers, and then the bonus show, with being the Discovery Weekly, will be coming out on Wednesdays.
Yeah, and kind of along that same scheduling line, we're going to be trying Saturdays on Twitch for our live stream of our show now. We just want to kind of mess around with it. We know that a lot of our friends, a lot of our fellow Twitch streamers and stuff, they have their main show of the week is on Fridays. And so we wanted to find a time and see if it would kind of increase the amount of people we could get in here, and then also increase our ability to kind of raid people or expose people to other cool channels on Friday nights.
Yeah, for sure. And lastly, and probably one of my things that I'm most excited about is this year we're going to shoot for once a month, maybe more, maybe less if something falls through. We're going to try to have a guest on once a month to bring their recommendation. Probably another podcaster, someone within the podcast universe that we are in. I will say we've got a list of people we're reaching out to. If some of the stuff works out, it's going to be some people that you guys have heard of, and it's going to be exciting to have them on our show.
Yeah, it'd be really fun, for sure. Like, have you guys ever heard of Bill Gates? Just kidding. Not that. Not that. Just kidding. But yeah, no, we have
list. Why just...
Is he in the list?
Yeah.
Put him on the list. He has a podcast.
He does have a podcast. But yeah, so the main goal there is we're just two dudes and we kind of have the same interests. We have our own interests, and we want to try to find somebody else with a different, I guess, angle to bring
different perspectives. Fresh, new discoveries from new people.
Exactly. So that's kind of our mindset on that, as well as we just love making new friends and getting to know people a little bit better. That's why we wanted to do, the live streams and stuff like that, because we really like just kind of interacting with our audience and now interacting with our fellow podcasters.
Yeah, we definitely want to make podcasting more interactive because it typically isn't. It typically is you can leave a rating or review, or you can, I guess, tweet at them. But other than that, it's not as interactive as we were wanting it to be. So it's been a really fun thing trying to continually get new iterations of how the show can be, and we're pumped about season 5.
Yeah, no, we are very excited about season 5. Okay, housekeeping is out of the way. Let's dive into the first discussion in 2021, which we're going to be talking about the show Fraudsters. And we always try to pick a show that is fairly long form at the end of our season so that you have plenty of time to listen to it. So we picked 3 episodes because that's the way that they were doing their format, at least at the time, is they would pick a fraudster and they would kind of break it into 2 or 3 episodes talking about them. And so we picked the first 3 episodes, and they're talking about Miss Cleo. And what Fraudsters is, according to them, Fraudsters is an all-you-can-eat buffet of liars, cheats, and scammers. Hosts Sina Ghaznavi and Justin Williams cover every flavor of fraud you can imagine, from fake psychic hotlines to corporations cooking the books.
Yeah, and it's hosted by, like Kirk just said, one of whom is Justin Williams, and he's from Kansas City and a comedian that's played at a lot of different festivals across the U.S. and Canada, and he's been on several Comedy Central things, Mashable, Sirius Radio. He's been on a lot of different things, bringing his comedy and things like that. And the other host is Cena.
Yeah, Cena. Okay, I've got his bio pulled up, and it would take the rest of the show to read his bio because he has done a lot of things. But in a nutshell, I want to read just a little bit of it. He's a comedian, a producer, actor, and lawyer. He's a the way he puts it, he's a center left, tech forward progressive who lives by the simple phrase, "Funny comes first." So he's directed movies, he's acted in movies, and he's currently a lawyer. It's pretty crazy, and he's the host of this show, and he also has another podcast called The Brighter Side, which the way they put it in here is it's a hardcore self-help that attempts to put a positive spin on subjects like depression, rage, and jealousy. And I'm actually really curious to listen to that show as well.
Yeah, I'm curious too. But yeah, the episode of Fraudsters, well, they end up doing it in like pairs of 3. And so we were looking. When we heard about the show, we wanted to check it out. And this was actually, we were driving and we knew we had time. And we saw one that I found out, and they talk about a little bit on this show, it dates you a little bit if you get this reference. But we saw a name that was unforgettable to our brains, and we had to find out more. The first 3 episodes of their show are about Miss Cleo and the Psychic Readers Network.
Miss Cleo, call me now. I still can visualize these ridiculous commercials in my living room as like an 8-year-old. I don't even know how old we were when this happened, but I remember this being on the commercials all the time. And it was funny because even now, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but it almost seems kind of endearing. And I think there's like a little bit of nostalgia to it, even though it's literally a giant phone scam scheme.
Yeah, and I did not like pick up on that at the time. We'll get more into it. But yeah, no, I just was like, there's a Jamaican lady who is a psychic and is on TV all the time. They're always telling you to call Miss Cleo. I feel like the main reason that I never really went down the rabbit hole on that was because I knew my mom would kill me if I tried to call any kind of service that cost money. If I tried to call anything that would cost money on our phone bill, I would have been killed immediately.
Yeah, so she was the spokesperson for this organization, which this organization is the one that was doing the main part of the fraud. Granted, she had a history of some fraudster stuff, like a long history, and she continued even further.
It never stopped.
I do feel a little bit bad because she is no longer with us, so I don't want to speak too ill of the dead. But yeah, she definitely was essentially a con artist in a lot of ways. But this organization that she was working with, the Psychic Readers Network, it was all this giant scam where you would call a 1-800 number and then they would make you immediately call a 1-900 number, which costs a bunch of money.
Yeah. 800's toll free. 900 is not.
And so then they would ask you for all this information. And during that information that they're asking you for, oh, I forgot to say, they promise you 3 free minutes, and they're going to give you a reading in 3 minutes, right?
Mhm.
Bam, bam, bam. They're going to tell you your future so fast. But then, you know what I visualized? I visualized the Zootopia sloth like asking,
Yeah, no.
what's your address?
Yeah, pretty
You
much.
know?
Pretty much, and slowly typing while you sit there and look frustrated.
Exactly. So they're asking you for all of this information you probably shouldn't be giving to most people anyway over the phone. And they're taking all your information in. Let's say they take 5 minutes doing that. You're already past that free time and you're already getting billed. And what was it? It was like $4 a minute?
Yeah, it was like
something
$4 or
ridiculous?
$5 a minute on that 900 line, which is crazy money. Like,
It's so much money. And they talked about with people that work there, they wanted them to have a 12-minute minimum, like minimum.
yeah, they want them to push towards 15 to 20.
But I love that if you were on the phone for 60 minutes, they would hang up on you because they knew that your phone bill was going to shock you so much you're going to try to dispute it. Because at 60 minutes, that's $300.
$300 to talk to Miss Cleo. No thanks. That's my problem with it. It's like, yeah, would I talk to Miss Cleo if it was free? Yes, I would. It'd be fun. But at $300, no thank you.
And through this whole scheme, this organization brought in over $1 billion with a B.
$1 billion of just being fake psychics on the phone. And like,
Oh, and they talk so much later on about how fake it was. The psychics, it's
okay, so
unbelievable.
yeah, so a little bit about this show. The first episode really hones in on Miss Cleo herself. So she had a wide history of literally ripping people off of multiple times. I don't think she's even from Jamaica. She's like, her family was from the Caribbean, but it's not like she was from Jamaica and had an accent because she grew up in Jamaica. That's a fake accent.
Grew up in, like Irvine,
Yeah,
California.
yeah,
or
it's
something?
all fake. The whole thing is like a character based off one of her earlier scams where she had a fake play that she made and raised a bunch of money for, and then got fake cancer, and she was constantly scamming everybody like the whole time. And so she had all this stuff. She had made this character, and this character just, I don't know why. I guess it's just peak 90s ridiculous shenanigans or I guess that might have been early 2000s, late 90s. But it was just that it kind of just fit in that time. I don't know how else, because I don't really know how much of a space there is for this now. I guess you probably could still get people though. So okay, do you
probably.
believe in like psychics? Have you ever had like a psychic reading?
I have never had any psychic readings, no tarot cards, nothing like that.
The
I
only
think the
thing we
closest-
had was those weird animal ones from that girl on Chat
Oh.
Roulette. You know what I'm talking about? It was like off-brand tarot cards when we were doing Chat Roulette.
Oh man, that was an interesting thing.
It was.
That's a whole different story.
Had you
when
forgotten
it was
about that?
three of us- I mean, I wish you wouldn't have said the word. And I'm seeing so many different images that I don't want to see in my head right now.
It's mostly one image, so you don't want to see in your head over and over again on Chat Roulette.
Long story short, we thought it was funny after recording one of the podcasts to get on Chat Roulette and just see who's on there. It's mainly what you think,
Yeah,
but
that's
then
what
there
you
was
think.
some random people that were actually fascinating. There was an older gentleman that all he was doing was trying to play guitar for whoever jumped into the chat. And it was awesome. He played us some guitar. He was really cool. He didn't get naked. And it was the best experience.
I will say this. It's impossible to unsee the things that we saw that night. But
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend.
the
One
re-
star. I
but-
don't recommend.
But the response was amazing because, okay, people act in a not great way when it's anonymous video chat that you hop into with a random person. We'll just leave it at that. Everybody gets it. You've been on there. But when they would log in and be doing their inappropriate things, they would see me, Kirk, and Josh sitting around a table, all holding microphones, and freak out. Like we didn't have to close these things; they closed them because they're like, "Oh, I'm bailiff from whatever's happening here." There's so many dudes over there. Why do they have microphones? And then they just bail. So it ended up making it funny at least. But we did have somebody from, I think she was from Australia,
Yeah.
and she read us like some off-brand tarot cards. But here's my problem with psychics as like kind
I
of
like
like
to believe that she's a listener to our show now because we told her what we were and what we were doing, and she said she was going to check us out. So if
Who knows?
you are that woman that was living in a nice mobile home in the countryside of Australia and you did these weird angel tarot cards to us, hi, reach
Here we
out to
are.
us. Here we are.
Yeah, but in general, I feel like psychics is not very well defined. You know what I mean? Because, okay, do I think that you could call Miss Cleo and she'd be like, oh, I know deep insight about your life? No, I don't really think that's a thing. I don't think that you can call somebody on the phone and they're going to like see through the nether portals and know what your future is or anything like that. You know what I mean? And so
Nether portals.
I just don't. I feel like it's all very like hand wavy, like, oh, it's just they're psychic. Because like even tarot cards, it's random. It's you're just dealing cards. You know, I don't know. I don't know that there's nothing that like could be classified as psychics. You know, people that are more perceptive or
I think there's
you know that
okay.
I can get behind.
I think we're on the same page. I don't believe that there's some supernatural power or some weird connection that you have with the dead that help you to be able to see the future. I do believe that there are people that are very perceptive and can really read people really well. And I'm not saying like their future. I'm saying like
There now.
you're depressed, you're shady, or you've got a kind heart. I can just tell you've got a kind heart. You're a loving person. You're empathetic. You know, and then you can if you can figure those kind of things out, all you got to do is build a narrative around those few things, and you sound like a freaking awesome psychic.
No, and honestly, it doesn't sound like I feel
No,
like
I don't think this happened on the
yeah,
phone.
no, we're
with
putting
these
too much
people, though.
pressure on the Miss Cleo hotline here. That is not what was happening here. And that's one of my favorite things about fraudsters is the next episode. They talk to somebody who worked as a phone psychic for a very long time. Well, months, months at a time. And they got his kind of perspective on everything. And it further confirmed that nothing magical was happening here. That was a random dude in his apartment trying to pay for his apartment in New York, smoking cigarettes and using a girl's voice. And like a Southern girl, I think was his character. And it just sounds ridiculous. But then you get to like kind of this weird nugget of like humanity to this whole thing is he felt like a lot of people that were calling in just were lonely, or just had hit the bottom of the barrel, or it ended up kind of being sad. You know what I mean? Did you feel that way when you listen to his thing? Like, because he's talking about the one of the ones that made him just like, okay, I'm part of the problem here. Like, I'm not like a moral thing. Was somebody called in and somebody was like concerned that maybe one of their relatives was abusing their children, and he's like, oh, please, like, call the cops. Like, we're not a stand-in for like actual anything. And so he kind of just did it for fun, and I would have done that. Like in college, if somebody offered me like go pretend to be a psychic on the phone, I would have 100. I did much worse jobs.
On that, I would have. I was going to ask, like, would you work for this company back in the day?
I definitely think so. Not right now. I wouldn't. I'm not sitting on the phone and like BSing people. But in college, I would have thought that was funny or fun.
I don't know. Maybe I would have done it for a little bit.
I couldn't have stuck with it. I never liked talking on the phone that much.
Wouldn't have stuck with it. I think it would be one of those things that, like, almost as a prank, you would do and a joke, and then make a little bit of money and just leave. It's almost like getting paid to crank call people, but they're calling you. So it takes most of the weird part out of crank calling people.
Yeah, it really does. But it's super interesting to hear kind of how they break all this down.
Yeah, and so Miss Cleo's name was Ira Harris.
When should we mid-roll this? We're probably... Or do you want to just chop it up and stick it in?
No.
I was just kind of stopping there because I think it's pretty good because we started at 25. We're at 20 minutes.
Yeah, so we're right at 20 minutes. Okay, yeah. Let me get to. I'm okay. The stuff right above the mid roll, I want to go through pretty quick, like her real name, her having to change her thing to the seer.
Okay.
We don't have to hit on the corn dog story. I just think it's
No, we
hilarious.
definitely need to talk about the corn dog story. We could talk about it afterwards, though. No, we could talk about it before. Actually, no, I'm trying to think.
This might be a good place.
I
'Cause
think-
we put some of the stuff on the back to the front now. Let's go ahead and do it here then.
Yeah.
Let's do the mid roll here.
Yeah. All right, let me switch
All right,
over to that.
and
So, yeah, one of the other things we're working on this year is actually getting some sponsors for our episodes. So you guys get to hear this ad that we're about to knock out. All right, it's pop culture, right?
Yep.
You ready?
Pop culture show. Nope.
How dare you?
What minutes? 45. Put 46. I'm just putting these down for editing purposes. All right, now I'm ready.
This episode of the Podcast Discovery Show is sponsored by The Pop Culture Show. The Pop Culture Show is a show that gets into the nitty-gritty in the world of TV, music, movies, and celebrity news. The show isn't hosted by just anybody. It's hosted by three friends that have known each other for more than 30 years and have a long tenure in the entertainment industry.
All three hosts, Barnes, Leslie, and Cubby, have worked or are currently working in radio or TV production, from Billboard, Rolling Stones, to CMT. And I swear they've worked everywhere in between. They've worked everywhere. And they have a ridiculous connection and finger on the pulse of pop culture. I listened to a few episodes, and in fact, some of the things that we're going to talk about this week in our Discovery Weekly show, I learned from their show. I listened to their newest episode, and no, they do have a great chemistry, and it's a great show, and it's very entertaining, and you can learn a lot about what's going on, especially like movies and TV shows. They talk a lot about Netflix series and things that specifically now during COVID that are streaming on different platforms, and what's the best thing worth watching, things that are not worth watching. Not only do they talk about their take on what's going on in the world of entertainment, but they also have some great interviews as well. They've interviewed Goldberg,
Oh, man.
the WWE champ. I remember him.
Oh, I
growing up,
definitely
man.
remember him.
They've interviewed rock stars like Jewel, Butch Walker, Collective Soul, and one of my favorites that I saw on the list. I need to listen to this episode because I love him. Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers.
Oh, man.
I love that show. It's hilarious, and I've got to listen to that episode.
Yeah, but in the end, it's a really fun hour-long ride through the halls of pop culture that leaves you laughing, informed, and excited for the next episode of the Pop Culture Show. You can find out more about their show on popcultureshow.com or anywhere you find your podcasts.
I think
Okay.
that came out pretty good. One take.
Now we're back to this. Okay. Now, you were just saying that her real name is
Yep.
back in 48,
One second.
30.
Take a sip of my coffee. More like a gulp. So Miss Cleo's real name, if her bad accent wasn't enough evidence that she wasn't actually Jamaican, her real name was Ira Del Harris. And the thing that is hilarious and also just like crazy is like she came up with the name Miss Cleo. Like Zach said, literally it was a character from her play at a previous fraud thing she had done. And she had came up with that character. But when she signed the contract with the Psychic Readers Network, they got basically the IP on that character. So when she stopped working for them, she could no longer even go by Miss Cleo. So when she needed her next scheme, she had to go by something else, and her new name was the Seer. It's not near as catchy, man.
No, Miss Cleo is much better.
But she did triple down on the Jamaican accent. She never got rid of it.
No, she was like, it's definitely staying. No, and I mean, she also like called herself formerly known as Miss Cleo. You know, she tried to find a way to bring it in there. But yeah, it was all ridiculous. And then she's constantly marketing herself. You know, they in the end of this episode they have an interview with her where she's talking about all this weird stuff, from like her weird merch stuff, like her calendar. That was by far the weirdest one for me, is the calendar. She's like, I took each one of these pictures and hand curated this calendar. It's like, who cares? Who's buying a calendar? Like, who's buying like, is it just pictures of her? Is it selfies of Miss Cleo? 12 of them? I don't
know.
I don't understand a calendar at all. But I think really what it came down to is any possible way to make $1. And so she would just put all of this out there, and then she wrote a book.
So she's
Oh,
like,
yeah, the app.
People want to get in touch with me, so I don't know who she got her to make it, but she had somebody make an app so that basically she could continue her kind of
Not talking to
fraud
people
thing.
and acting like she was. I don't.
acting like she was talking to. It's just, and she's like, I don't even know how it works, but I got one.
It's technology. Yeah, so she did all that. She wrote a book that had one of my favorite
man.
moments in the episode was this book, because they read an excerpt from it, and it was essentially like, I don't know. It's like trying to
It
be
was
a
almost
self-help
like
book.
relationship advice, right?
Yeah, but it's so stupid. Like, it is just so stupid. So the story was paraphrased. It set up this like date between this couple, and she's like, okay, have you ever had a situation like this where you're like, I want my boyfriend to take me to a really nice dinner, and I was like, hey, we should go to dinner, and he's like, okay, and he took me to a park and gave me corn dogs. And I was like,
And then she was mad at him.
I have so many questions as soon as she says that, because how do you cook corn dogs at the park? Do you take pre-warmed corn dogs with you? Like, corn dogs is the weirdest possible choice she could have put in that story. You can't grill a corn dog. I guess you could. That's not how you do it, though. That's not the right way.
Maybe there's a mini carnival at the park that weekend. You don't know.
I mean, that park sounds sick then, because if it's fresh corn dogs, then why is she complaining? But basically, in the end, her anecdote was like, if you don't want corn dogs at the park, you should tell them that we should go to a different restaurant. You should maybe say the name of the restaurant. And this is in a book she wanted people to pay money for. And it's like,
This is my very deep insight as a psychic into your relationship.
you know, when she started talking about corn dogs, I was like, she really is psychic. She gets it. No, it's just, the whole thing is just her constantly scamming everybody with just like random garbage, or pretending to be psychic, or apps. Basically, just all of it was just any possible way to make more money. So it was just ridiculous. But in the end, they made a ton of money.
So much money.
Like, just a ton of money.
They even mentioned, like, they just kind of said it in passing, but I mean, we'll talk about it. She was a good marketer.
Oh, she
because
definitely was.
when she did pass away, she had a net worth of like a couple $1 million. Like, she wasn't just fly by night. She made a little bit of money at this place. She continued. And I mean, I get it. She was good at what she did. She was good at defrauding people money.
Yeah, she
and
convinced
making
people to give
believe her.
these people $1 billion for not talking to Miss Cleo.
Now, I was actually surprised with how little money she got for working for this place. I mean, if you do the math, that's a lot of money, technically.
No, and I agree, because she was making, I think she said 24 a minute, and like most
20% a minute.
and a lot of people were making like 10 to 12 cents a minute. But if she signed a contract for the Miss Cleo name, what was in that package? You know what I mean? Was it something where you get like stock, or was it something where you get like a signing bonus for the contract? This was not a normal situation. You know what I mean? They paid her something for that character, for like her marketing work too. You know, so I think she made okay money, especially because it's just a phone scam. There's nothing there. Nobody had to work. Like, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, they made a ton of money. And in the end, they were given a $4,000 fine. Half of their billables were taken out. They're like, you cannot collect on half.
Yeah. So, okay, this blew my mind. And they talk about this much more in the next two episodes. The first episode was a lot about Miss Cleo. Second two episodes was a lot more about the Psychic Readers Network. And they talk about the FTC and our federal government, you know, finally cracking down on them to an extent. I mean, basically, they're like, hey, Don't do that. Give us all the money you have in your account. They're like, we got $4,000. Give us that $4,000.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, how much money did you steal from people? $1 billion. How much have you not gotten yet? We haven't gotten about 500,000. Okay, you can't take that. But the $500,000 you got before that? No, 500 million. I'm sorry. 500 million, right?
I think so. I think it was like
Because,
half, right?
Yeah, I think they had to pay $500,000
Yeah.
in billables forgiven. But basically, how much they got out? They made $1 billion.
They netted
they
millions
got out.
and millions of dollars from this.
They made hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's crazy. And they didn't. No one went to jail. It's
Nope,
like
nothing.
I mean, it's
No,
just
the only thing
crazy.
they were able to get them on is like some of the extra stuff because, and that's it was one of my favorite parts of seeing
Oh.
like the transition on this show is like, because first you're talking about Miss Cleo, but then you figure out that Miss Cleo is not the problem. I mean,
She's the tip of the
she's
iceberg.
not great. She's not great. She was a made up Jamaican pretending to be a psychic on a phone line. Not great. But the people who ran this business were really, really crimey. And like
Oh,
it
God.
was ridiculous. And the things like the FTC got them on were like they would call your house over and over again and tell you that you needed to call, or they would call over and over again until you needed to pay your bill. And they would harass people. They would mail you stuff all the time. They would harass you to try and make more money out of you. And then they would also, when they had you like call in because you just got a giant phone bill and you want to contest it, it would call into the 900 number. You would call in and pay to try and fix your phone bill. And so it's
to contest your bill, you would have to call the number and make another bill.
ridiculous.
It's just like a snake eating its tail. It was horrible.
It never stopped with these
So
people.
grimy.
It never stopped. And like that was one of my favorite parts about fraudsters is you think it's going a certain direction and then it changes because then the next like they talked to somebody that worked at Psychic Readers Network and like how much did he know about the whole process? Like he said that he wasn't really about getting everybody's information so they could harass him and everything like that. He was kind of just having fun, it sounded like. But they
And I love that when they hired him,
there was a lot of
he didn't even know what he was getting hired for. He
yeah,
just
no,
knew
they
he
said
was
phone
getting
acting,
phone
right?
calls.
Phone acting job.
Like literally, they didn't even like be like, "Hey, are you a little bit psychic? Can you even hold a conversation?" They just would.
They don't
give
care.
them the job. They had no concern as to who was actually doing the phone psychic stuff. They just wanted to, and I love how they promised them $10 an hour, but that's because if you're good and can keep someone on the phone long enough, you might make $10 an
Yeah.
hour.
And you
And
have
he
to
did
do
it
a
for a
bunch
whole
of different
summer.
things to like invoice for that too.
Mm-hmm. He said he never even invoiced, so he worked there and never got one dime.
Yeah. No, and I mean it's just it's the wildest like kind of premise, but I feel confident saying that based on his story, there might be psychics. There was not any psychics at the Psychic Readers Network.
I'll
That
say
is
there were
literally
probably zero.
they did not care. They at all. He didn't even get a call back until he did the girl voice. Because the guy was just like ignoring him, but he lived with two girls at the time, his roommates, and
And they immediately got the job.
so he basically did his character that he ended up doing while he worked there, and he got a call back. But I don't know. It was just all ridiculous, and this show really digs into the weird stuff they were doing because there was a lot of stuff once you start digging into what all was going on behind the scenes, and that really kind of kicks into episode 3. They start really digging into, okay, who owned this thing? Who were the decision makers at this company? How were they going about what they were doing? And all 3 of them were doing like weird stuff the whole time, buying weird houses like that are too expensive. One guy started a pizza chain
yeah,
that was like,
I love. They talk about it, and it becomes a little bit of a joke. But they talk about these fraudsters. I think 2 of them bought the house of Jim Baker. That's the guy, right?
yeah,
The televangelist that got busted and was in prison, so he lost his house. But he was a fraudster, and so these guys bought his house. And
Yep.
they made this great joke about like, what is there, like some real estate company that only sells to fraudsters?
yeah. And that's another thing that's worth mentioning. This show is also hilarious the whole time. So we're talking about some of the crazy detail they bring out. It is really funny.
They're funny guys. I will say this. When I first started listening to it, it took me 10 minutes to get over the like, I don't know. It felt like a shock jock radio show for a second, for a little bit. But then when I actually got into the stuff, I was like, okay, I love this. But it almost got me to where I was going to turn it off at the beginning because, they came in real hot and it was like, oh, hey guys, welcome to Frosters, that kind of stuff.
And it's literally their pilot episode. It's an awesome pilot, honestly. But yeah, no, they do kind of come in pretty. There's a lot of bits and everything like that, but really they settle in by even the second episode where you can kind of see them catching that rhythm.
It was like halfway through the first episode, I was like, all right, I already feel like this is much better.
But yeah, really funny, and you learn a ton about fraudsters, which is also interesting because you can then see these kind of like patterns and stuff happening again. I don't know how popular this kind of thing is anymore, like a phone line at all in general. I don't know, like, because I don't know, that seems like a 90s thing, like 90s, early 2000s, where there was like sex lines, and there was just psychic phone lines, and there was just, you could call just phone lines and talk to random people. I never got it, but apparently some people did.
You remember that time a long time ago when we were in high school, actually middle school, and my cell phone got stolen by someone in our class, and we were going on a long trip.
I do remember that.
Did you know that she called a bunch of sex phone numbers on the school bus ride there?
I did not know that.
We had like a $300 phone bill that next month because she stole my phone and then, for entertainment purposes, called a bunch of sex lines with my phone.
That is interesting. That's at least what he told his parents. It's like, no, she did it.
Hey now.
She took my phone. I don't know how that happened. That's so weird. All right, see you later.
I never should have told you that story now. Anyway, there are so many things that we didn't touch on very much about the episode. They interviewed Dr. Fraud, who is a guy that has kind of made his name in really uncovering fraudsters and really digging into them and talking about them and kind of like bringing things to light. So that was fascinating, and I'm sure he's probably on a lot of these episodes. But the last thing I want to touch on is I do want to say they brought it up multiple times, and I was like, man, it is so true. The disparity of like the response by the law for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably the same for almost all these fraudsters.
No, the FTC got involved on a civil suit. That was brought by somebody. That wasn't like everybody got in trouble just on their own by law enforcement.
It's like the dude that sells weed on the corner probably gets more time, and probably
more time than zero. Wait, none of these guys were arrested?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He probably has more money of a fine than they got. $4,000 fine. I bet you if you get busted for selling weed, you're gonna get more than a $4,000 fine plus go to jail. These guys stole money from people, hundreds of millions of dollars, and all they had to do was pay $4,000.
And that just
none of them
don't
went to jail.
do it anymore. Just stop.
It was just, they talk about it, and it was mind-boggling because it's true.
It is. It's true.
If you want to get away with crime, just do it in a suit and be white, and you'll be fine.
Those things surely would help. But yeah, no, it is ridiculous that there's zero consequence for what they did. Because there was none. So even the FTC fines were mostly to try and pay out people who were part of the civil suit. So it's like, it's just ridiculous. But overall, absolutely incredible show. Me and Kirk listened to the whole thing, just back to back to back. Listened to all three on the road trip, and we're just in it the whole time. Absolutely hilarious. You learn a ton, and just a great premise for a show where you're just exploring fraudsters. It'll, I'm sure, make you mad, because there's some of these people that are even worse than the Psychic Readers Network that are just like trying to rip people off of their like phone lines or whatever. There's people who like are worse, I'm sure, on this show. But
Yeah, they talk
So
about Jim
good.
Baker. I think that one probably would be the one that would just be so cringeworthy and just so frustrating to me.
Yeah.
Televangelists just they feel like the grimiest of grimy. They talk about
Yep.
Anna Sorkin, um, Al Flores.
I
I
don't
don't
know a lot of the names on like the list of their thing, but I kind of like that because then I can go through and not know who these people are, and there's a chance that I knew like their effect, like something around them, but I didn't know the name of the fraudster themselves.
It was a great show, and they're on. The only thing is, it was a Spotify exclusive. So if you don't have Spotify, you probably weren't able to listen to this show.
No, but it's free. Spotify's free. It just has ads, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can listen to it.
You're right. And so it was a great show, and they're on the last podcast.
Last
network. So
podcast. Mm-hmm.
the last podcast on the left has a network. I looked at their shows. We've covered some of their shows. We talked about Wizard and Bruiser before.
Mm.
That's on their network, and there was multiple other ones that I've listened to that I want to talk about one day. So they have some good shows. I didn't even know they had a network till this show.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
But yeah,
So
go listen to Fraudsters. It's great.
So now, our first recommendation for 2021. And this is one that I found, and I thought that it would be a great one that Kirk would like because it sounded kind of Reply All-ish. And Kirk has listened to every possible episode of Reply All.
I have.
And this show is called Understood. Here's their little blurb on it. On each episode of Understood, we find a question the internet can't answer. Maybe it's a dead-end Wikipedia page, an abandoned Reddit thread, or an unanswered question on Twitter. And we fill in all the gaps. It's part chat show, part documentary, and almost always surprising. And so basically it comes down to a bunch of journalists, investigative journalists, podcasters go and explore sometimes odd topics. And the one that we listened to, and it was awesome, we loved listening to it, is Closing the Loop on China's Mystery Seeds. And we think you guys are going to like it too.
I never knew this was a thing, and now I want to dig into this even more, even after listening. I know. Anyway, we'll talk about it more. I'm excited to talk about this one. It was great. We listened to it on the same road trip, and I'm excited to talk about this one.
Me too.
It was definitely an interesting discussion, so I'm excited. All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in to the first episode of 2021, Season 5, the Podcast Discovery Show. And remember,
there's always more to discover.
Hell yeah.
Did it. Kick the rust off. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop this.
I didn't even feel bad.
No, I felt rusty at the very beginning, but then it was fine. All right, let's do...
I need to take a bio.
I do too. So we're gonna put up the we're gonna put up a Be Right Back screen. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. We're gonna be right back to do what our new show name, Discovery Weekly.
Thank you for reminding me. Put it on here.
And we are back. Let me go ahead and start recording this. Oh, let me go ahead and send you the other ones too.
Okay, good.
There he goes.
You can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Cool. Wanted to make sure I use the same input outputs and stuff.
How's it going, everybody? Now we're going to talk about
Discovery Weekly. I gotta remember.
Discovery Weekly. That is
Welcome
going
to
to be
Discovery Weekly, not the other Discovery show. Okay.
it's going to be a little tough at the beginning.
Yep. So y'all on video, one of the things that we wanted to do to make the experience as a viewer a little bit better, because a lot of times we're talking and we're reading off of these articles. A lot of them have pictures, sometimes even videos. So what we're doing now, and we're going to try to implement, is when we're talking about it, when we're reading off of it, what we're seeing, we're going to let you be able to see. So it'll make a lot more sense when you see the pictures.
I definitely have one of these that the pictures really add a lot to it. You'll have to check out the stream when that's happening.
Okay.
It's definitely worth it. It's my first one too. So, but yeah, no, we wanted
There
to.
might be a little bit of a lag is the only thing.
I should probably also post them in chat. I have a lot of random stuff to do. Okay, I'm ready. If you are.
You didn't hit record yet, did you?
No, I haven't. Here, let me go and do that.
Okay.
Make sure we're not messed up there. Nope, still looks good. All right, we're live.
All right, so we are going to have a pre-roll ad on this
I'm
episode.
glad you mentioned that. I already forgot about it.
So let's pull that one up first.
Yeah, we've been trying to really kind of bring a little sponsorship into the show this year. It's definitely something we're working on.
I think this episode's going to have more than I want to normally have. It's just we got the thing with Podcorn, and that's what makes it amazing, but also a little bit of a bear, is you're putting proposals in to these sponsors, these sponsorship opportunities. So if you actually want to get a yes, sometimes you have to put like 4 proposals in for the same slot, hoping that you'll hit with one. And
Sometimes you
on
hit with
this one,
2.
we hit with 2, specifically in the mid-roll, and then we have 1 for the pre-roll. So we have 3 ads in one episode. This is the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make it not oppressive, hopefully. So this is not something we're gonna normally have. But podcasting is not free, and so this has been able to help us. And Kelnack, you've also been able to help us a lot with
Absolutely.
keeping the lights on, as they say.
Okay. You feeling good? Feeling ready?
Yep. So you can start on that one. And
All right. This episode of Discovery Weekly is brought to you by Podcorn. Podcorn is an amazing marketplace that connects podcasters like us with great sponsorship opportunities. The amazing thing about Podcorn is that you get to set your own rates and directly collaborate with your sponsors. Kirk and I have used this several times, both on kind of both ends of it, and we've had a great time using it.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, like we said, we're going into season 5 of our show, and for the first 4 years, well, almost 4 years, we had no way to pay for our hosting or anything like that except for out of pocket. Podcorn's kind of helped us to be able to have the opportunity to, because of what we're doing, be able to have the option to get enough money to pay for all of our things, because podcasts aren't free to make, but they are free to listen to.
Yep.
But one of the greatest things about Podcorn, and what really sets it apart from other advertising companies, is that you never have to give up any of your rights as a podcast. You're completely, and you're just always in control of the process from the beginning to the end for what sponsor you decide you want to send proposals to, all the way to how your ad sounds. So you've got complete creative control, which is awesome.
Yeah, and we really use that because anybody that we're having a sponsor on our show, we read about them. We definitely choose, and when we went out and sent proposals for us to advertise on other people's shows, we did the same thing. It really does give you the opportunity to go out there and find what you think really fits with your show. And Podcorn's mission is to give podcasters transparency, creative freedom, and full control of how and when we monetize. Click the link on the show notes to sign up for Podcorn and start browsing sponsorship opportunities today.
All right. Discovery Weekly.
Discovery Weekly. It is weird. We should maybe mention it. We should maybe like talk about it a little bit on this too, in case people don't listen to the PDS as well. You know what I mean? You don't need edits on this, right?
My bad. We didn't have everything open.
Okay.
The ad was like 3 minutes in. All right. Welcome to Discovery Weekly,
You heard him
formerly
right.
known as the Other Discovery Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first episode of 2021 of our new. Is it new?
It's not new.
kind of
It's
new.
got a new name, but it's the bonus show from the Podcast Discovery Show.
Yeah, so this show is all about all of the other amazing and really awesome things that we've discovered throughout the week. I'm Kirk.
And I'm Zach. And yeah, I discovered something that I felt like it's important to people, and I feel like it's timely because how much research have you done on hangovers? Is that something that you have looked into at all?
I have looked into it a little bit. A little. I have looked into it a little bit.
Mhm.
I remember I was going on a cruise, and cruises are notorious for over imbibing, because you don't got to go anywhere. You're just there, and you're just at a pool, and you're just gonna drink all these really sweet.
Yeah, you can't drive.
Coladas and stuff like that. You don't got to worry about anything. Anyway, I got this sample of this stuff. It was supposed to be a hangover cure. I think I had seen it on Shark Tank, and the stuff freaking worked, dude.
Really?
Like, it legit worked. It worked. Yeah. Anyway, and they had a whole like brochure of why it worked. But that's where I was like, that's really fascinating. So yeah, that's my extent of looking into hangovers.
Yeah, I mean, some random guy giving you a bottle of something on a ship is it?
No.
Okay. So I started wondering about this because I saw an article, but first let's start here. Apparently, F. Scott Fitzgerald said that the hangover became a part of the day, as well allowed for as the Spanish siesta in the 20s. And so these things were very understood for a long time, but it was first described more than 3,000 years ago in an Indian textbook on meditation. Basically, it was paramada, a post-drinking condition characterized by thirst, pain in the head and joints, and heaviness of the body with no known cure. And since then, for 3,000 years, we've been plagued by having this. So what causes them? It's once the alcohol in your blood is gone, once you don't have any blood alcohol content, your body metabolizes the compounds in alcohol, and it contains small amounts of methanol, and it breaks that down into formaldehyde and formic acid about 10 hours after you're drinking, and that makes you feel sick. And that's why hair of the dog works, because then you don't start breaking down those things yet. You know what I mean? You like push it off and like try and delay it.
So
But
is the trick to hair of the dog, you've got to drink it before the hangover gets really bad?
basically
Or
the
once
idea,
hangover-
the idea of hair of the dog is don't let yourself not be drunk yet. Like
It's basically like coming down slowly,
yes,
right?
yes, you're
Is
trying
that the
to
idea?
you're trying to
'Cause
slow
you're
it
not trying
down.
to get drunk again.
Right.
In the morning,
No,
'cause then
I
you
mean-
can still just have a later hangover.
You might be, but it's not going to help the hangover issue. It's just going to be a 24/7 hangover at some point. But another
then you're just an alcoholic.
yeah, I mean there's that. But then the other kind of theory on like why you have symptoms is dehydration, because it essentially, while you're drinking, it produces antidiuretic, or it decreases the production of antidiuretic hormones. So when you urinate, you lose body fluids and you're not building it back quick enough. So that's where you get like dry mouth. That's where you get the headache, everything like that. But that's just some of the stuff about how this all works. 28% of people say they never experience hangovers. I'm guessing college students, because once you get to Kirk and I's age, it's a real thing. It'll get you.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of questions about like the miracle cure. And like for me, what I would always do is you got to eat something like fatty, and like something like, I would always do something bready too. And essentially, one of the things that this article says is that it lowers your blood sugar levels, and eating carb heavy stuff can restore these. So it just makes you feel better on one level, not on all of them. So like, yeah, if you eat a breakfast, it'll do it. Some ancient remedies, maybe slightly odder. The Romans recommended raw owl's eggs. So if you have any owl's eggs around, just try
Look
some
on
of
the
them.
tree while I'm drunk to make sure that I don't get.
No,
a
it's while you're hungover. No, it's the hangover cure. Ancient Assyrians, they did ground birds' beaks and myrrh.
Oh my
And
God.
Mongol warriors ate pickled
Did you
sheep's
snort it?
eyes. I don't.
Pickled sheep's eyes.
I don't see anything about snorting it. I think that's really up to the user.
Oh,
in the end.
remember in Kazam, Shazam, Kazam. It was Kazam.
Yeah,
Remember the
Kazam.
bad guy was eating all the sheep's
Yeah.
eyes in the limo, and it was real weird and gross.
Yep. And then in medieval Europe, they recommended raw eels and bitter almonds. But basically, there's been a billion ways to try to figure out a
A
hangover.
lot of those sound like, "Hey, we're gonna make you puke really quick, and then you're gonna feel a little bit better."
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like. Eat raw eels.
Yeah, eat some pickled sheep's eyes. You're going to feel better soon.
Gross.
Yeah. So the reason I kind of wondered about this is because I saw an article about what would happen in Victorian England for like homeless people. And the thing that I saw that was interesting, they had something called penny sit-ups, which is literally you would pay a penny and a homeless person could sit up on a bench all night in a hall. So they could get inside. They'd pay a penny to get inside. But there was something called a 2-penny hangover, and I got to switch to the video for this one so everybody can see it.
Explain the penny one again.
It just means that like if you were homeless, you could pay a penny in Victorian England, and they would let you sit inside a building.
So you couldn't sleep. You couldn't like lay down on the bench. You could
Right,
only sit.
you could
What-
sit up.
that's the thing?
Yeah, you
Okay,
could just
I see,
sit
I see, I
there.
see. Okay.
Yeah, you could just sit there. But then there's this. The 2-penny hangover, and I'm going to switch to so everybody can see this. It's in the chat too. What you're seeing right here in this part of the screen, for an extra penny, they would hang a rope, and you could throw your arms over it, and you could just sleep standing up, hanging on a rope. And they think this is part of where the word hangover came from, is that you literally...
Oh my gosh.
like, can you imagine trying to sleep like this? But here's my favorite part. Down here, the rope would unceremoniously cut at 5 or 6 a.m. They would just walk up and cut the
What?
ropes, and you just all eat it. Victorian England, those people were dicks. Like, why do
Oh,
that?
man.
And then, yeah,
Oh,
once
that's
they cut the
horrible and
rope,
great
they
at
got
the same time.
they got all the homeless out. But yeah, but like it was funny because there was usage from hangover of like you had work before, and it's the hangover. You know, you have the hangover work is the stuff you have to do the next day, but then you have these 2-penny hangovers that were widely used by drunk sailors, and then that probably added a little bit to it. But as a bonus, they also had what they called Salvation Army coffins, which, as you see down here, are wooden boxes in a giant thing, and you could, I think it was four pennies for this, and you could just, or no, it was 4 or 5 pennies, and
So
you
could
could.
sleep in the coffin.
It's not actually coffins; it's a wood box that just looks like a row of coffins.
So it's basically like instead of bunk beds, they just put a bunch of little boxes so you stay in that area. That's
Yes, they
so
try and at
weird.
least contain you to your own
I
space.
thought those were all dead people.
They're not. They're not dead people. Don't worry, everybody. That's just boxes where people would sleep.
So weird. So weird. Well, guys, I have a discovery that was brought from the community from our Discord. So if you want to be part of the Discord, feel free, and we'll have the link in the show notes and everything like that. But this was brought to us by our friend Twiggly Bits, she shared this one, and it's all about relaxing forest sounds. And okay, at first I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I listened to it, and it kind of blew my mind. So you can listen to relaxing sounds of forests from all around the world for free online. Research shows that spending time in nature is good for your health. Simply taking a walk in the forest can ease stress and help us think more clearly. In fact, in Japan, which I love this, I will say I love this when I read it. I didn't know it was a thing, but it sounds awesome. And I'm going to start using this term, the American term, not the Japanese term, because I'll forget it. They have a term for doing this. It's called Shinrin Yoku, or forest bathing. I love it. It
I
gets
like
its
that.
name from the metaphoric way one can bathe in the forest's atmosphere. This means experiencing the forest through our five senses, from simply looking at the beauty of the environment to smelling the scents of the trees. Woodlands provide a full sensory adventure. However, one of the most powerful benefits of the forest is how it sounds. And thanks to Tree.fm, you can listen to the relaxing sounds of nature from the comfort of your home. So there's this website, and it's Tree.fm. Zach, pull it up. I want to be able to share.
All right,
this,
let's see. I think we're both gonna have to be very quiet when we listen to this, and let us
All
know
right,
if you
I'll tell
can't hear
what to
this.
Kick it off. So people from around the world have recorded the sounds of their forests, so you can escape into nature while in lockdown or unable to travel. They say use this site to chill, meditate, or do some digital Shinrin Yoku. And they've got forests from like everywhere. They got California forests. They've got like the redwood forest. They've got.
Yeah, this one is Norway, the one that I have pulled up right now.
There we go. Yep. Let's listen to the forest from Norway.
All right, here we go. Let me know if everybody can hear this or not. It's a little quiet. Makes me want to take a nap.
Oh man,
It's so
I'm
relaxing.
ready.
So good. Can I just leave this on in the background of what we're talking about right now?
Let's do it. But yeah, Tree.fm, and they've also partnered with like some other company called Ecosia, which is a search engine that donates at least 80% of its profits to nonprofit organizations that focus on reforestation. So they like, it's just, I love the ethos of what this is. It's just like peace and nature, and it's beautiful.
No,
and if you listen to that while wearing cans or something, like I swear it just takes you to a different place.
Oh no,
Close your eyes,
I'm very
listen to
relaxed.
it, and it's a different level. It's great.
No, I always loved nature sounds so much. Apparently, even going back to when I was a baby, because when I was being like fussy as like a very young baby, they had a video. I think you can find it on YouTube now. It's called Loon Country by Canoe, and it's literally just a guy for 30 minutes paddling a canoe in loon country, obviously.
yeah,
So
you
you just
shared-
hear
you
like
shared
you hear
it,
like you hear the birds, you hear just him paddling, you hear just nature. And apparently it knocked me out every time. I've wanted to test it. See if I watch it right now if I'm just going to pass out immediately. That would be hilarious if it still worked. But yeah, no, I used to meditate to this type of soundscape too. It was amazing. But yeah, that's a
So thank you, Twiggly Bits, for
great
for sharing that in the
discovery.
Discord. It's awesome. Love it.
So I guess I'll pause this. I can just hear the birds though. So I discovered that there is the next level of wind turbine is here. Literally here. I'm going to switch over so you can see the scale of this thing. This is a New York Times article of.
Does it kill all the birds?
I'm sure it does murder the birds. No, I think I heard that if you put like a different color on it, it doesn't kill the birds. It's not like a thing. So this thing is gigantic. It's so large, it's difficult to photograph. It is 2 American football fields end to end in diameter. Look at the scale of
What?
this. Here's the Empire State Building, 1,000 feet. This wind turbine is 850 feet.
Wow, that
It's
thing is
gigantic.
huge.
So what is interesting about this one? This is a GE one, and in the end, this will be a what do they call it? Offshore wind turbine. So it'll be in the ocean somewhere. But this is a third more powerful than anything else we've experienced so far. So literally, this thing is so intense with what it's doing that it's changed all of the models for how this can work. They say that literally one of these can light up a town of 12,000 homes.
Whoa.
And it literally could potentially change how we're looking at this at all. Because, and I mean, this picture gives you a little bit of the scale of the thing, you know, and I'm sure it's nightmare fuel to be on top of it. I would be dying. I couldn't do that. But they still have a long way to go of figuring out essentially how to make this profitable, you know, how to get the supply chain going, how to get everything so that it makes sense to do. But it feels like every single day we're finding out more cool stuff technology wise. So we're always finding new ways to do these things. And then if that could power 12,000 homes with one of them offshore, like what is the potential of using wind power, you know?
I mean, it's so, I don't know. We've talked about this so many times on our show. It's like we can do things better, and I think it's fascinating and exciting to see when technology goes forward. And I've always thought I'm not super hardline stance on some of the ecology stuff, but I have always thought that we should definitely take care of our environment, and we can always do better, and we should strive to do better, and this is steps in that direction.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Okay, ad break. Should we just cut the ad break from the last one, or you want to do it again? It'll make it easier. Let's just do it again.
Yeah it will make it easier.
Oh, we have to have a different name for it too. Okay, you ready?
And we have the other one too.
Are you ready?
Not yet. I was writing the ad time.
Oh, okay. No, I think we timed it up pretty well, though.
Yep, I agree. All right, so we're going to do...
Let's do pop culture first, then free lunch.
Perfect. All right.
This episode of Discovery Weekly is sponsored by The Pop Culture Show. The Pop Culture Show is a show that gets into the nitty-gritty in the world of TV, music, movies, and celebrity news. It isn't hosted by just anybody. This show is hosted by three friends that have known each other for more than 30 years and have a long tenure in the entertainment industry.
All three hosts, Barnes, Leslie, and Cubby, worked or are currently working in radio or TV production. They've worked for like Billboard, Rolling Stones. One of them still works at CMT and a bunch of other places in between. I swear they've all worked in every part of media you can possibly work in. They have their finger on the pulse of pop culture. And I've listened to a few of their shows, and I've actually learned a lot about what I should be looking to watch during, this time of year on streaming services like Netflix or Apple TV or Prime Video and all these other things. And also, they talk about a bunch of other different things, including interviews. They do some really good interviews with because like I said, they're very connected. So they've had Goldberg, the WWE champ. They've had rock stars like Jewel or Butch Walker or Collective Soul. And my personal favorite, and an episode that I have to go listen to, they have Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers. I love that show. But not only that, one of my discoveries this week on Discovery Weekly came from this show. So I discovered something from here.
Yeah, it's amazing. Basically, it's just a really fun hour-long ride through the halls of pop culture that leaves you laughing, informed, and excited for the next episode of the Pop Culture Show. Find out more about them at popcultureshow.com or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
I think it went all right.
All right, do you want me to do like the first three bullets? Yeah, I'll do the first three and you can knock out the rest.
Yeah.
This week's episode is I'm going to try that again. This week's episode is also brought to you by Free Lunch Coffee. If you're like us, you almost always start your day with a cup of coffee, and that cup of coffee works wonders for you and makes a big difference in your day. What if I told you that drinking a cup of coffee could impact someone else's day too? With Free Lunch Coffee, you get to make a difference in the world with every cup of coffee. When you buy a bag of Free Lunch Coffee, you're not only getting great organic, fair trade coffee, but you're providing 10 meals to a child in need.
They also offer a 100% money-back guarantee for 30 days if you don't absolutely love the coffee. We love companies that are trying to make a difference. I mean, that's a lot of what our show talks about. And when we saw that we had an opportunity to be sponsored by Free Lunch Coffee, we jumped right on it. And I've made my first order for sure. We haven't gotten it yet, but I'm excited to drink that coffee with Zach at work. And for a limited time, if you use the code DISCOVERY at checkout, you can get 10% off your next order. So yeah, go to freelunchcoffee.com. Don't forget to use the promo code DISCOVERY at checkout and make a difference in your morning and also make a difference in the world.
Clean.
Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, clean.
I kind of stumbled a little bit on the end of that one, but I think it came out all right.
All right, everybody. We promise. No more ads. That was it.
Got to pay the bills.
We're trying. We are trying.
All right, let me get back to the right notes. All right.
Now you can talk about their discovery.
Yes.
And then I think we could probably just do just do NASA after that and just show everybody in chat and everything that NASA one, and then we'll call it. And actually, I did put out a Creators Cove in December that I could potentially I could do a band start out the year.
That would be nice. Close out with a new band.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done that in a long time.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah. So I always like to do a little bit of research when we're gonna do any ad for any of the people that we're trying to get to sponsor us on the show. And I was listening to one of the people that have sponsored this show and a few of the other PDS episodes, and it was the Pop Culture Show. And they interviewed the guy that made this new thing that's coming out in 2021, and it is called the Fan Controlled Football League. So it's amazing because it's happening here on Twitch, and it sounds crazy, but the thing is, it sounds just crazy enough that it might work, because XFL and all these other things that they've tried to do these other leagues with, they're just like the NFL, just crappier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like it's there's nothing different about it other than the names. And okay, they're gonna be more rough or something. I don't know. They always had some stupid little gimmick, but it was nothing.
Yeah, it's
really,
usually not enough.
Nothing really to grab you. Well, this is completely different. And the thing that they talk about in the interview on what I was listening to, which I don't even think that you've talked about in here, is they're gonna do this in a bubble in Atlanta. So all the teams are going to live right there, but they're going to play all the games in the same stadium, which is kind of going to change a lot of the dynamic, because they're going to be able to have drones getting footage you'll never see at a football game. They're going to have like crazy lighting, and it's going to look awesome visually. But the craziest thing is that the fans that are watching it are going to be able to call the plays and are going to be able to like have a lot of control of what goes on the field. And they're going to do it all through Twitch. They have partnered with Twitch to have like specific extensions. Like, I don't know if you know what a Twitch extension is if you're listening to this, but it's literally an overlay where you click on something on the screen and you can vote. So let's say that this team's going to go for it on 4th down. 4 options come up, and you as a viewer get to pick. And everybody gets to vote, and whichever one is voted for the most is the play that they're going to do. It seems fascinating. In this article that I have in here,
I'm so curious about how this is all going to play out in reality. You know what I mean?
And
like,
they've got some celebrities, man. They've got like Marshawn Lynch. They've got Johnny Manziel, which was a huge name in college football, but then he was just kind of a catastrophe.
Yeah, I feel like he had mental health issues coming into the league like that.
Yeah. So let me read a little bit of this article. It says, in the internet age, sports fans are smarter than they've ever been, and we have access to so much more information.
So debatable.
Well, we have access to
Yeah,
more.
the access is there. It's true.
um, I don't think. Yeah. Um, they know when player X's contract expires or how player Y's new deal will count against the salary cap in 2 years, and we know every little detail in every transaction plays out. And I get that. It kind of, I don't know. It we know everything. That's why I like fantasy football. I don't like fantasy football. I think it's goofy, but it's like D&D for jocks, but whatever. And some people love it. But this is a different level of fantasy football, man. Um, Welcome to fan-controlled football, where the fans control everything. The league made news on Wednesday when it announced that it had signed former NFL QB Johnny Manziel. Now fans will select him, decide whether to start him, and then pick what plays to have him run. Yes, you read that correctly, and it's exactly what it sounds like. This is a real, actual football league where fans control everything about their team, from the name of it to the coaches they sign and the decisions those same coaches make. So they've got Richard Sherman, they've got
Richard
Marshawn
Sherman's there?
Lynch. Yes, they've got, I think, a rapper as well.
Why not?
Why not? Right? These are like the coaches and quote unquote, like I guess managers of the teams. But like even the names of these teams were picked by fans already. It seems fascinating. Let's be honest, we don't know if it's going to work, but I will say it's a really interesting idea, and I'm excited to see if it works. And if anything were to work that's not the NFL, it might be something like this, because it's just different enough, man.
Yeah, no, you're trying to turn the NFL into Madden. No,
Like, they're not kicking, they're not doing punts, they're not doing extra points. One of the things that they mentioned in the interview that I was like, what? Because I think they've kind of pinpointed, no one gets super excited about kicking an extra point. There is no fourth down. You have to go for it on fourth down every time. And throughout the week, the fans get to do like extra things to get their team a fifth down. So like once a week, one of the teams will be granted, because of the fans, 1 fifth down. So you get to be able to use it whenever you think you're close enough to the first down to be able to use a fifth down and get it. But also, I think instead of the 3-pointer as a kick, I think it was like a one-on-one with a receiver and a defensive person and the QB. So like basically what you do in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the 3-pointer essentially. I don't know. It sounds like they've changed the things that are boring about football, and it sounds pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I will definitely check that out for sure. That sounds extremely interesting. By the way, you said some rapper. That's Quavo. It's from Migos. He's like a very famous. These people are like famous.
Sorry, I'm not.
No, I'm just saying, like, Johnny Manziel is the least famous out of this. Like, Marshawn Lynch was a really great player. Like, Richard Sherman.
Marshawn Lynch is funny too.
Oh yeah,
that dude had character. He had like
he's
a
so
small
funny.
show. I don't know what it was or where it was. I saw it like on Netflix or something. No, it wasn't Netflix. It was on like YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like traveling the world and like meeting people. But he's so funny. He's a so funny guy. And he always had Skittles.
He always was funny. Like, just, oh no, he is a character.
He had his quirks, and it was always great. Yeah. And he was really good at football.
He was.
That guy could run a ball.
Yep, he definitely could. But yeah, I think the last one we want to show you guys this week, we definitely are going to have to break out the website camera here so you guys can see what all this is, because they put out, NASA being they, put out 3,000 Days on Mars, like a retrospective, so Curiosity rover has been there since 2012. And so they put together, the BBC just put together an article documenting some of the amazing stuff that Curiosity's been able to capture. And all of this will be linked in the show notes as well. But Curiosity has generated images of Mars where, like, before, that was essentially science fiction at the time, but you get things like this. These where
pictures look crazy, man.
Yeah,
they're so beautiful.
Instead of it being some like science fiction type thing, it looks like the desert, and you see just this lonely robot. I think they could make a sequel to WALL-E, with Curiosity wandering around on Mars, just taking samples. But you just see so many of these like awesome land features, and all of this stuff is so high quality, and so it really just
It's crazy. Like this one picture, it says this stunning panorama is the highest resolution panorama yet of the Martian surface. It has 1.8 billion pixels in this picture.
where is this panorama? I need to show it to everybody.
Down, go down a little bit more. Right there, up, up. Oh, yeah, there's a lag. So
Yeah, no, it's messing with me.
it's the one where there's like it's hard because it's a panorama, so there's like weird blocks of black around it.
Oh, gotcha. I know what you're talking about.
It's like the third one down. But yeah, it's
Oh,
just
I think it's this one. Yeah, this is it right here. I wonder if we can get even bigger. Why does it let me click on 1.8? Oh, here we go. We can zoom it in because this is how you can really tell. That's high def. No, but just some of the stuff that Curiosity's
wow.
been able to do is incredible. And then you start looking at like what's going to be happening on the moon in the next 20 years, and it's going to be incredible too. So overall, just pretty amazing stuff. So definitely check out this article because you can see a lot of amazing content that Curiosity's been able to capture rolling around on Mars by itself for a long time.
Yeah, they've got like pictures of like all the probe sites where they've like drilled into the Martian surface and tested the soil and stuff like that. And then they've got like a picture of Curiosity by what was it, a different satellite that's going over like around Mars.
Yeah. Orbiter.
The reconnaissance
Orbiter.
orbiter. Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool picture. Ooh, a dust devil. There's a video of a dust devil on Mars. That's
here,
awesome.
I'm gonna switch this over so they can see the dust devil. Here you go. We're gonna take a look at the dust devil. Oh, is there? Oh no. Oh no, not on mine.
30-second ad.
Look, there it goes.
30-second ad.
Not on ours. Yeah, you can just watch it on the stream. No ads. But yeah, no, these things literally science fiction 20 years ago. And so it's just incredible to look back on. There's the selfie. The selfie of Curiosity. I don't know. I'm not sure how it took a selfie. Let's see.
Doesn't say. It is a real one. It's not like a rendering.
I wonder if it puts like a camera somewhere and drives away from it. It looks amazing though. Like, I don't know.
It's beautiful.
It's just so cool to see Mars as a real thing with real features instead of just trying to imagine it.
But yeah, we're space nerds, so we love looking at these kind of pictures, and I know that a lot of our listeners are as well. So yeah, guys, that was our first episode of 2021 of the Discovery Weekly podcast, and we're so excited to just kick it off, and we got a lot of things in store. We're so excited for how the podcast is going to change and evolve this year.
We definitely are, and we could not do it without you. So thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it, and we hope you get in touch.
Yep, don't forget we have a hotline. We also have the Podcast Discovery Club. We have a Discord. That's where some of these discoveries were found today. And you can follow us on Twitter. All of that will be in the show notes. And guys, we will talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening.
Talk to you next week. All right. Stop that. All right. We
We'll have
did
to
it.
clean up that end where we're talking about pictures, but I think it's better for the visual than it is for the audio. So I'll have to clean that a little bit. But.
Yeah. No, but it was I do like the idea of having the stream so they can like check out some stuff with us.
Yeah, Dust Devil was awesome. And I didn't know you could click on those pictures. When you clicked on those pictures, you literally zoom in and it like it's clearer rather than blurrier, which is nuts.
Yeah, that's those pixels.
Like, holy cow.
But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for checking out the stream. Thank you for hanging out. I think we're going to do our normal switch over, but then I think Corky is going to throw on some gaming stream. I'm going to be in and out because our local football team is about to play our wildcard playoff game. It's our only chance to
I don't care about football unless I can control it. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'm going to do that too. I definitely think we should do that. Like, I want to watch that together as a group so we can.
It does look fascinating.
No, I just want to see how it plays out. But yeah, thank you so much for checking out the stream. We really appreciate it. If everybody hangs on, by the time the stream goes down, it'll be back. You won't even know what hit you, and it's going to be game time.
It will be game time. Time to play some games.
So yeah, thank you so much, everybody. We're gonna keep trying Saturdays. I kind of like the Saturday vibe. I'm very relaxed right now. Not exhausted from work. Relaxed.
Yeah, and I think I had more time to get stuff prepped. It felt more prepared than normal. I
Yeah.
think that was the big difference because I can work on it on Friday after work, but I don't feel pressured to work on it and get it like cram it in before we have to record.
So yeah, we
So,
might
yeah, I
stick
think
on
it's gonna make-
Saturdays. Kind of
I think
liking
it's gonna
it.
make the show better. That's the thing that I'm excited about.
Yeah, kind of liking it. But yeah, thanks so much. Hope you guys stick around because game time coming at you.
Time to play some games.
Coming at you. Thanks.